And different traditions will teach it different ways, but this is essentially the etheric body. For the Egyptians, it's a 10-body system, and each one of those bodies is an aspect of soul. I'll get into Merkaba in a little bit. Kundalini will teach it the same way, where it is a 10-body system. And if this is something that you want to geek out on, I will suggest, going into the Kundalini traditions. I'm not going to be teaching the Egyptian traditions here. But then Barbara Brennan also does a beautiful job in Hands of Light, where she talks about this astral body, the etheric body, the emotional body. So you may have heard of those before. And as we work within the Akashic records, all of these different fields have carried different pains, different vibrations. We want today to be conscious and awake within each of these bodies, each of these fields. Oh, I hope I didn't throw that piece on the ground, but I may have. So Carlos Castaneda had this beautiful quote, and he was talking about these filaments of light. These living, thanks. These living threads that make up all of the world. So the Akasa, the Akashic, these are these threads that hold the world together. These are the threads that hold your cells together. And I may have mentioned last week that Akashic field has been found, or so, maybe so, by scientists in Hungary. Thanks. So in the way that Drunvalo teaches and taught this, he would tell a story about the Shipibo. And the Shipibo are star keepers on the planet. They are ones who are aware of ascension and where humanity is going. And they, in the 1970s, became very concerned because the light on the planet was dimming and going out. Humans had lost their light. And as Drunvalo began teaching this again, the light kept coming back to the planet. So as we're doing this, the light is coming back to the planet. Most people are not active within their light. They are lumps of matter just being directed by programs that they're not even aware of. And this is not a judgment. This is a pretty clear agenda. We want you to be awake. Pretty please. And we're going to talk for a minute about light. Because the concept of light can be a little confusing at times, or it could feel ethical or judgmental. So we're going to take that idea out, and we're just going to recognize that light is vibrational. Heavy is a density, not a judgment. As I was playing with that concept, they were bringing in the idea of density is the depth of your suffering and pain. How much suffering and pain are you willing to carry within this body that makes you feel heavy? And that heaviness, you'll on the emotional scale, this is where you'll see it the most. So abuse and neglect will cause this density, this heaviness. Shame and isolation will cause this heaviness. And I want you to pay attention to people who you get around where all of a sudden you feel, You'll encounter them. And don't turn the other way and run. That's not all that compassionate, but instead transmute through you being in light yourself so that maybe they can feel it. Don't pray for them, don't wish for them, don't give to them, don't try to help them. But when you feel their heaviness, activate your own light in order to maybe act as a transmission for them. And this is the beautiful Jesus quote, "Forgive them, they know not what they do." They don't know that they're a festering stink pile of heaviness. They've been programmed to be that way. They have programmed to be numb. They have been programmed to be cut off. I had, yep, not there, thanks. So the longer we carry this heaviness, the longer we believe it to be true, the more we send it through that torus field like it's a program of who we are. And the universe just says, oh, okay, Oh, that's what you think you are? Let's give that to you. Let's create that. And the law of attraction, if you've read that, or the Esther Hicks stuff, this will talk about it in this way. So just another angle or another view on it. When you hold that pain and heaviness long enough, they take it as a command and begin to create it. That's why we're here to wake it up. Let's clean out those programs. When you find those programs within your body, when you find that heaviness within your body, that's the necessity of shadow work. Shadow work, necessity. You need to be able to get in there and love whatever it is that feels like shit. Tricky at times, but we don't want any parts of us discarded or hated out there in the world. The goal is integration. And for the shaman, this is going to be a process of soul retrievals. Inviting everything back into the light. That's how I treat my shadow work. I want to love every part of me. So any place that I have shame, I'm going to go in there and love it so that it doesn't feel separate. It doesn't feel, thank you. Sin, even if you think of the idea of sin, sin means to be without God, to be without God. If we're without God's love in here, if we're without love of source within here, we're sinners. Go there if you want, huh? Woo! Okay. Thanks. Let me see if there's anything else they want to share on this idea of heaviness. Yeah, we can talk about this briefly with the idea of the programs. I thought we might do it later, but we're here, so let's do it now. Because we're going to be setting some technical stuff here soon. The programs. In the Akashic Records initiation, we teach quite a bit about the programs. But the programs are the limiting beliefs that are programming you. You may be aware of them, you may not be aware of them. A lot of these programs will come from the collective. What your family told you are. Oh, we're anxious people. Oh, we're not skinny people. Oh, we're the pretty people. Anybody have those stories that go through your fucking family? Limiting and telling you who you are. So that program, that idea goes to the Taurus field, the universe hears it, we start creating it and making it happen. Thanks. These programs could also come from your own places of pain. That will be the cause and the karma. The wounds that are passed down to you from your lineage that nobody has cleaned up. That's how we consider ka and karma within the Egyptian. They're the energetic blocks and ancestral imprints, which is why shadow work is necessary and why ancestral work is necessary. We've got to clean these things out. And I was talking to one of our Akashic certification gals yesterday, and she says that whenever she is doing readings, inevitably she has the family members who nobody wants to hear from come through. The one when you're having a reading and you're like, why the fuck would he come? She's like, that's always the one who comes when she's giving readings. And I realized the beauty of that is like the one who is the most wounded is the one who's asking for help through her. So when we have these despicable characters within our family line that we want to blame for everything, they will need healing too in order for us to ascend. The ancestors will have opportunities to ascend by taking accountability for what it is that they've done. Whoa, we're going there, huh? Great. Guess we're going there. Okay, so that's the ka, the karma that will be within your energetic field that Taurus field is just creating. Thanks. And I want you to play with this idea of the programs because I think it does get quite fun, right? Especially in this time of consumerism where we're all being programmed by commercials. Oh God, that pedal tone. Anybody hear the drama and controversy around that? That's a pretty good collective little program telling us who we should be and what we should be doing, huh? Wow, okay. So watch for the programs. The media is very good at this, telling you who you should be and what you should be. You get to make choices. That's the beauty of the Akashic initiation. We give you the freedom to make choices. Got it. Thanks. Yep. Cool. Let's get into Merkaba after I have another sip of coffee. It looks like I'm drinking wine. I really just like the cup because it keeps it hot longer, but it's not wine. little bit of like tending the light body, because this is where I started getting real excited last week as we were playing. Yeah, I probably spent about 4 days this week bringing it in, so I've had lots of time to be like, this is the how-to manual for humaning. When that came in, I was so tickled. Okay, yep. Trying to look through all my notes. Okay, so this is like tending and feeding the light body. So like any type of technology that you have, it has to be maintained properly to work optimally, right? Duh. So when you're feeling small or contracted, you might just go into your light body and you're like, oh, hey, fucking be 55 feet again. Whenever I'm feeling small, I do go in and do a conscious activation of my light body. And I'm like, take up your space, lady. Thanks. The light body is also what I'm calling your field. So you will find things in your light body, you will find things in your field. We talked about that a little bit earlier. The programs and the cause or the karma will be in your field. Thank you. The field, we'll just get to the bigger picture of this too, the macro and the micro. The Akashic field is what holds all of the earth together. The Akashic field is what holds all of you together. Your field holds your cells into place. So the death doulas, when they are working, they will have to unravel a soul from the cells and from the chakras in order to help a soul completely leave the human body. Thanks. And thank you. We'll do quick Akashic too. The Akashic field is what holds all of the earth together. Your Akashic record is your place within that field. It's the signature design of you, is the Akashic record. Great. Okay, so we got to feed this field sometimes, huh? So that's what I said, like turning mine on every once in a while. I'm like, oh, that feels better. But other ways that you can do it is just running light through it. So going into that breath and just allowing, thank you, Drunvalo would talk about it being electricity. Thank you. He would talk about it being lightning going through your light body. I'm much more Cancer girl, so I like a full moon. I like to run some lunar light through my light body. I like to run love through my light body, so that it's the love that I have for myself and it's all going through my body, so that it allows me to be in this world in a gentler, softer, safer way. You could also do it with the rising sun, because that's pretty fun too. We're going to talk about other things that could live in your field. So we know how to charge it up. We know how to turn it on. Once it's turned on, it will be on for most of your life, unless something very weird happens. But I want you to just go for a moment and imagine your light body like a balloon or like a beach ball. Good, good. And imagine again that globe around you. And part of what I do as shaman is I am consciously tending people's light bodies. I'm seeing what is stuck within their field and I'm moving it out. Thank you. So what I will see sometimes is what looks like indentations. And I'm saying this for you because you might feel it within yourself, and I'm trying to go through all the senses because you'll feel it differently. Indentations is kind of like the big idea that I'm going to say. So if you're looking at this beach ball, there'll be a place where like there's a divot. Wherever there is a divot is usually going to be a fear or a block of some sort. And what we want to do is we want to go back into heart and give it love and heal this so that everything is like vibrating out, not contracting in. So you may see it or feel it like a divot. You might feel it like a block. I had that somewhere. Oh, there it is. Thanks. Disharmony. Sometimes and again, visual psychics, feeling psychics will all do it a little different. So sometimes I'll see it like a knot in that light body. I'll see the filaments and I'll see something that's just all glommed up and I'm like, oh, that's not good. That needs to be cleared. Move that ka through. Ka is how we do it in the Akashic. It could feel to you like disharmony, like something just is not as easy as it should be. It could feel sticky or it could feel heavy within this light body. The funny way that I say it is like there's a disturbance in the force. There's a disturbance in the force field of you. This is going to kind of pay your attention. You're like, oh, that should not be there. I will say I can recognize a disturbance in the force whenever I'm texting my sister, and it takes me 20 fucking minutes to send a text to her. That is not clear. That is not easy behind us, between us. That is all kinds of like, how do I say something so she won't be mad? And what I've realized is no matter what I say, she's mad. So that's her reality. And how do we try to communicate between realities? Well, it's not so fun. How about that? Okay. Thank you. So going back to that idea of the indentation, you may feel, see, or sense it for yourself. We're just going to say for ourselves now. We're not teaching you to do it for others. But what I want you to recognize is where there's an indentation in you, the universe is going to draw it to you. And I may have learned this while I was on mushrooms talking to Matt Kahn. So just, yeah, it's super helpful. But like I could see it like this, that I had a fear in my field that this thing was going to happen. And it came in here. And then the universe started responding to me like, oh my gosh, we're going to give you that so you learn there's nothing to fear. Fuck. Fuck, fuck. So what I try to do now is instead of having that fear that I go small in, and it's Matt Kahn teaching too, nothing in this world is more powerful than me. Nothing in this world is more powerful than me. So I don't want to attract anything that I fear because the universe loves me and wants to prove to me that it's not real. Does that make sense? So with the indentations in the places that you go small, just kind of watch it. You might notice what your body does whenever you go small, contract instead of expanding. You'll notice how your spirit responds where, yeah, I have a tendency to get socially awkward, which is super cool. I watched myself do it last night. I'm like, wow, what are you doing? Cool. I go socially awkward and then I'm like, ah! And so I consciously in those moments when I feel the smallness, like I breathe into the expansion, take up all my space, take up all my light. We're fine. It's safe to be me. And you may notice whenever you go into that small place as well, you may notice the talk track. What your ego and mind are saying. Oh God, nobody's really going to like you. What the hell do you think you're doing? Oh my God, don't you know your breath stinks? Yeah, talk tracks, super cool. They're all here. They're all real. Great. So as you notice what's in your field, I want you to do this as a form of shadow work where you write them down and later when you get home, you give them love. With families, it's a perfect time of year to recognize where your triggers are, what those beliefs, what those collective beliefs are. Ooh, write them down. And I will have a worksheet that I have for you guys in this week's class. There's a worksheet that you can practice of how to move through this a little bit. There was also, I think, yeah, in Awake, I had a worksheet in there as well on recognizing triggers. So all of this is going to be the same thing, but you got lots of resources to help. Our goal, again, is just to be at peace, to expand in that light, to not fear, to not attract. Great. Forgiveness. Let's talk about the cool things. So we talked about the indentations that might be in your field. Let's talk about the cool things that are in your field too, because this is where it gets really fun. So you will have seals in your field of past life accomplishments. Every initiation you've gone through in every other lifetime will live in your field. That's why I love the Akashic. I don't have to go and relearn everything. I can just remember it. Cool. Gifts and wisdom that you carry forward will also be in your field, so you have access to these things. And you might find your third eye or your crown chakra tingling as I'm talking about this. Mine is just going, cool, yes, please. You'll also have electric signatures in your body. And my favorite example of this is I met a shaman for the first time who was a mutual friend of my besties. And of course, I had heard wonderful things about her. She may have heard a little bit about me. And as we met for the first time, she looked at me and just kind of like sat with me for a minute in silence. And she's like, "Oh, you've worked with Ann Drucker." And I was like, "Yeah, how did you know that?" And she's like, "Oh, she's all in your field." And to me, it was like the loveliest thing ever. I was like, "Ann's in my field. Oh God, I love that. I love Ann." Ann is my teacher, literally had like woven through my field in a way where her wisdom was alive within me. Cool stuff. So the electrical signature of your light body is this field, and it is perceptible to great psychics and to great shamans. Teachers, guardians, loved ones, wisdom will all be within your field. Ooh. I will also say I have found curses within my field. So you'll find all kinds of stuff. Once you can perceive what this is, I once saw like a curse that was literally like barbed wire going through my field. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Cool. Helpful to know it's there to be able to clear it. That's all. None of these things do we need to treat with fear. We treat it with the awareness, the gift of awareness. It is so helpful to know that that is there. Fair? Great. Let's see. I want to make sure that we do the MAM. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to be talking about some of these hacks, so the cool things that are in your field, right? Keeping this light body well fed will keep you vibrant and luminous. When you are bright and shiny, you glow in a different way. Have you noticed? When you glow in a different way, the whole universe starts bringing what you want to you. It's a very cool thing. You may also, if you're going through any difficulty or hard situations, you might also put within your field a sigil or a symbol that your guides give you and block some things off. I did one of these recently, and they asked me specifically not to share. I'm like, okay, cool. But I did one of these recently. There was a sigil that came in, and it wasn't just in my field, but it was like larger than my field, so that nothing was attracted in this way. It literally acted like a block, a valve on it. You can also work within your field to invite opportunities. How about that? When you speak who it is that you are, you know what you want, you can start inviting things in. You're like, hey, it would be super cool if. This is kind of some of the manifestation stuff that we'll get into next week. But you'll also attract luck to you in this way. Your light will attract luck. Thanks. I like to have some auto-run programs that literally go through this field. One of them that I did several years ago, I don't like mosquitoes so much, and so I did an auto-run program through my field that mosquitoes would be repelled. So you can, as you learn how to work with this, like what are the auto-run programs, which is one of my auto-run programs, because I am looking for let's not say I'm looking for partnership. I'm open to partnership. Fair? I'm fucking open to partnership at this point in my life. And so what is in my field is I attract that partner who can add to my light and has their own. That's in my field. That's an auto-run fucking program right now. I'm not going looking. Certainly not. I'm not getting on any fucking online dating apps because we know better. But that attraction, I'm open to it. Golden doors. Yes, yes. Sacred masculine. Golden doors. Ready. Come on in. So the auto-run programs get kind of fun. Let's make sure that you know ethically, you don't turn on anybody else's Merkaba, you don't interact with anybody else's Merkaba, because once you encounter another being who's as awake, they'll almost bump into each other where you're like, oh my gosh. And the way that shamans do their healing, when I do a healing on somebody, I am intentionally going into their field and they're coming into my field. And then when they leave, I've got to clean my field out. Make sense? So to me, there is a lot of ethics around this. It is a violation for anyone just to come into my field. That's not cool. If I invite you into my field, that's different. And then I have rules in my field, in my Merkaba, of who is allowed to come in. Not just anybody. Great, great. let's see, I know, I had a whole piece on the Akashic, but I think we've talked about the Akashic enough. But the Akashic records, being initiated in your Akashic records, knowing how to access your Akashic records gives you sovereignty to know what the programs are that are running with this body. That's the short version of it. Great. The records are the vibratory account of your soul's journey. So you can access past lives through their future lives. It gets fun.